Inflation is growing again. If you've been feeling that prices of goods and services have been creeping up slowly, you are not alone because the government today came out and said core inflation has started to rise again. And so here is the data that I want to share with you on what is happening with inflation. As you can see, prices of goods and services, according to the government, have been rising, and that pushed the core inflation number up to 2.7%. Now, you're probably thinking, what does this mean for you? Well, just recently, the government came out and said that, experts are thinking that the estimate for 2026 Social Security cost of living adjustment is going to be 2.7%. Well, the government is now saying that inflation has creeped up to 2.7%. So now we are seeing that there's a big problem. Your cost of living adjustment for COLA for 2026 now has to be so much higher because inflation has started to rise again. So I am going to walk you through the latest inflation report and show you specific things that have gone up in terms of prices so that you can be aware and prepare with your budget. So, my name is Kwame Kwade. I am a government benefit expert. I've been helping seniors get the retirement benefits they deserve for 15 years. I create content on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and any personal finance issue that affects seniors. If you're new here, I am glad you're here. Do me a favor and go into the comment section and let me know your city and your state. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, thank you. I appreciate your support. Welcome. So let's jump into the news of the day. Is the inflation report. This is a data that highlights the changes in prices of goods and services that have happened over the last month. If you look carefully, you can see that food prices have gone up, electricity prices have gone up, fruits and vegetables have gone up. And when it comes to seniors specifically, hospital services have gone up, and physician services have also gone up. Medical care commodities have gone up. So if you're a senior citizen and you're feeling that you can't catch a break and that prices have been sneaking up and growing gradually and you can't put your finger to it, well, the federal government is coming out and saying you are right. What you're feeling is correct. Prices have started to creep up again. And so when you look at that list, everything has gone up. The things that have gone down are very few. And that was expected. I mean, egg prices had to come down because that has been going up for a long time. And dairy products have also been going up. And so it makes sense that those are coming down. But if you look at everything else, non alcoholic beverages have gone up the most. So soda, juice, etc. And then fuel. So if you are filling up the tank and you feel like gas prices have been high, you are absolutely right. And then you have electricity. I live here in Maryland, and our electricity bill has gone up by a whopping amount that we are all scratching our heads. So now that I see this, it confirms what is happening with electricity bills, hospital services, gas has gone up, food away from home. So if you're buying food outside, that has also gone up significantly. And then rent of primary residence also went up. Motor vehicle maintenance and repair also went up. Alcoholic beverages went up. And motor vehicle insurance also went up. So essentially, the federal government is telling us that inflation has started creeping up again. Now, you're probably thinking, how does that impact you as a senior citizen? Well, there are a couple of areas that this is going to impact you. First of all, it impacts your purchasing power directly. So, the amount of stuff you'll be able to buy with your Social Security check is going to be less and less because inflation is now rising again. Now, at the backdrop of this data, in the last few days, we have heard that experts are predicting that 2026 Social Security cost of living adjustment is going to be 2.7. And I'm here to tell you today that that is not going to be enough. 2.7% increase in COLA when inflation in June is already at 2.7%. COLA in 2026 will have to go much, much higher. So basically, you have to pay attention to what's happening with COLA and what's happening with inflation, because usually the problem is that seniors have always been left behind. Your social security cost of living adjustment never catches up to real inflation. So it always feels like you get your little increase and then it's all eaten up by Medicare Part B premiums. And this is USA Today saying exactly that social security 2026 COLA estimated at 2.7%, but much of it will go to Medicare Part D premium. This is USA Today saying this today, July the 16th. So essentially, they're telling you that your life is not going to be improved in any way, because the increase that you're going to get in Social Security increase is all going to be eaten up by Medicare Part B premium, which I think is devastating for a lot of seniors, because I mean, the expectation was that Social Security cost of living adjustment will go up much higher than the 2.5% you got today. But if inflation at June is already at 2.7, then you're going to expect that it's going to continue to creep up into the fall, and that, the government is going to use the inflation number for July, August, and September to determine how much Social Security increase you're going to get next year. And so now that we know inflation is rising, I want you to pay attention to that number, because they're going to be releasing that number every month, and I'm going to be creating lives to update you on where things stand, because based on what we know about inflation number for July, August, and September, we can predict what your cost of living adjustment is going to be, because that is the data that the government is using to determine your Social Security cost of living adjustment. So that is the first thing I want to talk to you about today, is that core inflation has gone up, and your Social Security cost of living adjustment is projected to be 2.7%, but a lot of it will be eaten up by Medicare Part B premium. And I think that the rate of increase need to be much, much higher. Now, the second thing I want to talk to you about is changes that the government is making to Social Security cost of living adjustment. Oh, I think my internet is going in and out. I apologize for that. Social Security Administration announced changes that is going to affect millions of beneficiaries, and I'm going to walk you through that. So essentially, the Social Security Administration will provide 24/7 access to their website starting in mid-July. Now, why is this important? Well, it's because, remember Doge, when Doge came in and Elon Musk and his team came in and cut all these benefits that seniors were relying on, it threw the Social Security Administration in a loop. And they've been scrambling to catch up since then. So today they announced that their website, which is a very interesting thing to read, the Social Security Administration is saying that their website is finally going to be available to you 24/7 starting in mid July. Previously, the portal had scheduled downtimes which prevented users from managing their account late into the nights or on weekends, when most people are not working and they can dedicate time to doing things that they have to do on the Social Security website. So, this upgrade will allow millions of Americans to manage their benefits at any time, improving reliability. And obviously, we know about 65 million seniors depend on Social Security. So being able to have a timely access to the Social Security website is really important. Now, here are some other changes that they are making. So if you go to the website, here are some of the things you're going to be able to do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Request a replacement Social Security card. That is the first thing you're going to be able to do on the website. Upload documents and submit online forms. You now can do that online 24/7. Manage direct deposit information, tax forms, and benefit verification letters. You can now do that online. Check the status of your application, or if you filed an appeal, you can check that online. And then get personalized benefit estimates So if you're trying to apply for, let's say, disability benefits, you can get an estimate of what that's going to be if you qualify. So this is part of an overhaul that is being implemented at the Social Security Administration to reduce backlog and wait times. So here's what they are saying they're going to be able to do. 70% of now field offices, 70% of Social Security field offices now have updated phone technology. So it means that they're going to be able to answer your calls faster and process your phone calls more accurately. 35% improvement in handling of 800 number calls. So they've improved their services by 35%. So when you call the 800 number, you are going to see an improved experience. And here's another one: 90% of calls can be handled via the self service option. So when you call Social Security number, the AI robot is going to be able to help you with 90% of things that you need. That is what they are saying. I am not saying this. The Social Security Administration is saying this. And they've been getting a lot of pushback from advocacy groups urging them to improve their services because a lot of seniors have been impacted negatively by the fact that it is frustrating to call the Social Security Administration and not be able to get benefits, information, or help that you need. So that is the major change that they've made. And then outside of that, I want to talk to you about taxes. I have done the research based on the questions that you guys have asked me about the big, beautiful bill, and I'm going to share with you what the tax implications are based on how much money you are making. And so there are a bunch of things I want to share with you. So stay with me for a second. Let me upload all of them, and then I'll be able to share each of them with you in detail. So the first thing I want to share with you is what is in the big, beautiful bill. Well, here is what we are. So let's see here. Um, all right. So in 2025, here is what you're going to be dealing with when it comes to Social Security and taxes. And this information is supposed to guide you through how it's going to impact you. So if your filing status is single, in the previous law, you had a deduction of $15,000. That's the standard deduction. In the big beautiful bill, that standard deduction is now $15,750. So there is a $750 increase in the standard deduction in the big beautiful bill. Now there is an additional deduction, which is part of the OBB. OBBB is the one big beautiful bill, a long acronym. But there's a $6,000 deduction. If you are married, you're getting the previous law gives you a $30,000 deduction. Now that 30,000 is going to 31,500. So it's just doubling what a single person gets. And then you get a $12,000 additional deduction if you're a senior over 65 and your income is less than 75,000. So, and then in 2026, things get really interesting because the previous law, your standard deduction will be 8,300, and now it goes to 16,500. So things are shifting, but what remains is that your additional deduction remains the same. You get your $6,000 deduction if you are age 65 plus, and if your income is less than $75,000. So I want to make sure that you understand how this is working together. And then that then moves us to the next stage. So Social Security taxes currently, who is impacted by this? Everything I shared with you right now, who is impacted by it and who can benefit from it? And that is where the confusion has been. And so I wanted to explain to you in detail how this works. So currently, if you are on Social Security benefits and your income is below $25,000, or as a couple, you are $32,000, you have to pay taxes on your Social Security benefits. Now that taxes has been largely removed because of the $6,000 deduction that I showed you at the end. So the OBBB has now helped seniors reduce their Social Security taxes that they would have paid on this particular form that I'm showing you. So, does it completely eliminate your Social Security taxes? No, it does not. But it does eliminate 80 to 90% of Social Security taxes if you are making enough Social Security benefits or combined income and do pay Social Security taxes. So, this is the form that you have to pay attention to when you're filing your taxes for 2025, which will be filed next year, and then 2026, which will be filed in 2027. Now, let's look at income. How does this affect you um, when it comes to income specifically? Well, if you make $24,000 or less, you are in the low income category, and your household does not have any additional benefits in this bill because you probably are not making enough money to pay taxes. And so you don't get a benefit in this bill. You have zero deduction and you have no tax on Social Security because you don't make enough money. Now, if you are making about 48,000, you know, you are probably have 24,000 in adjusted gross income, you know, and depending on your situation, you may be able to deduct the 6,000 and you may be able to deduct the $6,200 based on the fact that you are a single person filing as single. I want to make that clear. And then you go to the example of Blake and Bria, and they are a couple making about $72,000, and they have adjusted gross income of $36,000. They can deduct $12,000, you know, and no tax on Social Security would have eliminated 14,500. So basically, this is comparing what would have happened if the president has, passed the no tax on Social Security versus just the deduction. So a household making $72,000, they will get to deduct $12,000. But if the president had passed the no tax on Social Security, they would have been able to deduct $14,500. And then if you're a single person and you make the same $72,000 and you are your adjusted gross income is 36,000 is plus your Social Security, well, then you are going to get $6,000 deduction because you're a single person. But if the president had passed the no tax on Social Security, you would have been able to get $21,500 in deduction because that's how much will be eliminated. If you make $200,000, you're in the high income category, you're not going to get any relief with the current big beautiful bill because you are making more than the 150,000 threshold. So here is where the no tax on Social Security would have benefited people in the high income category, but they are being phased out of the big beautiful bill. So if you make $200,000, you're getting zero. But if the president had passed the no tax on Social Security, you would have been able to deduct $52,102. And then if you made 300,000, you know, same here, you're married as a couple, well, you're over the 250,000 threshold that was set. And so you also get zero under this bill. But if the no tax on Social Security was passed, you would have been able to deduct $104,000, 203. So we're looking at, taxes that you would have saved if the no tax on Social Security had been passed versus, so even when you look at the 48,000 category, right? If you make 24,000 in Social Security benefit, plus a 24,000 adjusted gross income. Somebody like Avery, would have gotten $6,000 in the current bill, but they would have gotten additional $200 if no tax on Social Security was passed. But if you look at the situation of Alex and Anna, they are getting zero in this bill, but they would have gotten $2,000 deduction if there was no tax on Social Security. So essentially, what I'm saying with this is that the no tax on Social Security would have been a better solution, as the president had promised, because it would have impacted more people and put more money in a lot of people's pocket. Because if you look at the right hand side of this chart, the no tax on Social Security column only had one zero, which is the low income category. Low income household, no additional tax benefit. But every other income group outside of the low income category would have gotten some benefit out of the no tax on Social Security part. But if you look at the president's $6,000 tax deduction, there's a lot of zeros. Only people making 48,000 and 72,000 in this example are getting an advantage or getting an additional deduction. Everybody else is getting nothing. And so, why am I sharing this with you? Because there's been a lot of comments that have come in about this particular bill, no tax on Social Security. And a lot of people are claiming that Social Security taxes have been completely eliminated, which is not true. 80 to 90% has been eliminated, but people in other categories are still going to pay Social Security taxes the way I have showed you right now. And then remember that this particular $6,000 deduction only applies to seniors age 65 plus with income less than $75,000, that are able to get the full deduction. So if you look at this chart, when somebody that's making $72,000, in the case of Blake and Beer and Bailey, they can get the full deduction because they are making less than $72,000. So they get the full deduction under the bill. But anybody above that does not get it. And the second point I want to make is that the bill, the $6,000 deduction, only applies to seniors age 65 plus. There are a lot of seniors getting Social Security that are less than age 65. So those people have been left out of the bill because they are not covered under the big, beautiful bill. So I want to make clear that Social Security taxes have not been completely eliminated, but relief has been given that helps some people reduce their Social Security taxes. So I hope that that clarifies things and help you understand what is happening. And then the third thing I want to share with you, the third change that is coming, that I've shared a few times, has to do with paper checks that are coming with Social Security. So if you know somebody that is getting a paper check, listen to this because it's an important information. Starting September the 30th, the Social Security Administration is no longer going to mail paper checks. I don't know if you know this, but the federal government has a website, a debit card called Direct Express Debit Card. So if you are not able to get a bank account, I am going to share the Direct Express debit card page with you because I don't think a lot of people know that this exists. But the federal government has a prepaid debit card that allows you to get your government benefit from through electronic means. And so I'm going to share this with you in a second. Um, so this is what the Direct Express website looks like. So it is a debit card that the federal government has created to help people on Social Security and other government benefit programs get their benefits electronically without a lot of fees. So if you are somebody that cannot get access to a bank account, or for some reason you cannot get access to a prepaid debit card, well, starting September the 30th, you have to get your Social Security benefits electronically. And so you can sign up for the Direct Express debit card. It is backed by the United States Treasury Department, and this is their language. They're telling you that it is accessible because Direct Express realizes the potential of Direct Express card with 24/7 customer service. It is safe because you don't need to carry a large amount of cash. It is convenient because you can make purchases anywhere debit Mastercards are accepted. And the last part is important. It is recommended. The United States Department of Treasury requires all benefit payments to be made electronically, and they are recommending the Direct Express debit card. So, why am I sharing all this information with you? Well, the big information I'm trying to get across is that starting September the 30th, you can no longer get paper checks for your Social Security benefits. And so you have to get your checks electronically. Well, you have a couple of options. You can sign up for a savings account or a checking account with your local bank or credit union, or you can sign up for the Direct Express debit card, which acts like a regular debit card. You can use it to make purchases. It's a MasterCard. And so anywhere MasterCards are accepted, which is pretty much anywhere, anywhere credit cards are accepted. So, you can use it to make purchases online, buy stuff over the phone, take cash out of ATMs, etc. And if I go to the website, I can share this with you again. There are a lot of FAQs in there that talks about, the advantages and places that you can use the Direct Express debit card. Let me pull that up very quickly and share that with you. So this is the frequently asked questions page of the Direct Express debit card, and it tells you that you can use it to get federal benefit payments. So they've listed all the benefits that you can get with the Direct Express debit card: the U.S. Coast Guard benefits, the Defense Finance and Accounting benefits, Department of Labor, Black Lung, Federal Employee Workers' Compensation, the Office of Personnel, Civil Service Retirement benefits, Railroad retirement annuity, and Railroad unemployment and sickness. And then you have Social Security, retirement, survivor disability insurance, and then supplemental security income, which is SSI. United States Department of Treasury, DC pension, and then all these veterans benefits you can get with your Direct Express debit card. And they've answered all the questions that people may be asking. Now let's talk about fees. One of the reasons why the government, you're probably thinking, why is the federal government in the business of creating a debit card? Well, part of the reason is that they have made sure that a lot of the fees that you get with bank card or prepaid card are reduced with the Direct Express debit card. So if you look here, a lot of things are free, and other prepaid card would charge you for it. So, that's the goal, is that the government wants to make sure that seniors are not being taken advantage of with a lot of fees. So purchases, cash back with purchases, ATM balance inquiry, some prepaid debit card replacement. You can get one free replacement a year, getting cash from the teller. All of those services are free. So I want to let you know, if you know somebody that is on paper checks, they need to switch to electronic payment starting September the 30th. And you can share this video with them so that they know that very soon they will not be able to get their paper check. It will just stop coming in. They are not going to see it. It's just going to be cut off unless they make arrangement to switch their account to paper checks, to electronic payment. So that is the fourth thing I want to share with you. And then finally, I want to talk to you about Medicaid, because there are some changes that are coming. And I think that the biggest thing I want to let you know is that if you know somebody that is on Medicaid, they need to be aware that about three things. The first one is that Medicaid eligibility is going to become a little more harder. What do I mean by that? They're going to have you verify that you are eligible for benefits every 6 months. So be prepared to submit a lot of paperwork for Medicaid. Now, 1/3 of seniors that are on Medicare are also on Medicaid. So do not think that this does not apply to you, because here is one big fact: 62% of all nursing home and assisted living facilities, seniors that are in nursing home and assisted living facilities, 62%, their bills are paid for by Medicaid. And so when you hear Medicaid cards and you're like, oh, I am on Medicare, that doesn't affect me. Well, it may affect you in the future, because if you need long-term care or assisted living and you don't have money to pay the $5,000 to $6,000 a month that it costs to be in one of these facilities, then Medicaid is your only option. And so when they are cutting Medicaid, it's important that seniors understand that that is an important benefit that they depend on that is being cut. And so I want to give you the information of how you can prepare for these changes that are about to happen with Medicaid, so that there are no surprises. So the first thing is that you are going to have to prove your eligibility more frequently. So they're going to inundate you with paperwork that you have to fill out to prove that you are still eligible for Medicaid, regardless of who you are and your age. So that's number one. Change number two is work requirement. It used to be that as a senior citizen, you don't have to work after age 54 years old to get Medicaid. Now, a lot of seniors will have to return back to work just to keep their Medicaid benefit. And why is that important? And why do seniors need Medicaid other than the assisted living and nursing homes? Is because some seniors cannot afford their Medicare premiums. And so Medicaid ends up paying their Medicare premiums. Some seniors cannot afford, dental, um, hearing aids, vision, and prescription drugs that they have to pay for Medicare. And so Medicaid steps in and pays it for them. So there are seniors that are both on Medicare and on Medicaid. They are called dual eligible. Those seniors are going to be severely impacted by the cuts to Medicaid. And so for those seniors who previously only have to work until age 54 in order to get benefits, now you have to work until age 64 and a half. So essentially, you have to work till close to age 65 in order to get Medicaid. Why are they doing that? Because some seniors get Social Security early, but they don't qualify for Medicare because they have to wait till they are 65. Well, those seniors relied on Medicare. Now they are making sure that you cannot get your Medicaid unless you work up until age 64 and a half in order to get benefits. So that's something that's important that you need to know. Another important change is that a lot of rural hospitals are going to feel a lot of pain, because most rural hospitals are still open because majority of their clients are Medicaid clients. With the deep cuts to Medicaid, a lot of these rural hospitals are going to struggle. And so, what does that mean for you? It means that do not be surprised if your local rural hospital shuts down, or reduces their hours, or reduces some services that are important to you. So, those are some of the changes that you have to expect coming in the next couple of months as the Medicaid changes are felt across the country. And in rural areas, rural hospitals are going to bear the brunt of that. So, guys, that is what I wanted to present with you tonight. As always, I will not be doing my job if I don't share with you that we have a Medicare partner that can help you get into a better Medicare plan. Our partner chapter, um, I'm going to put a form below. We've been talking about them because 2,000 of you have reached out to chapter and gotten yourself into a better Medicare plan. Why is that important? Because in your lifetime, you will get more benefits out of Medicare than you will get from Social Security. And that's true because I mean, have you had a surgery lately, or have you had an operation, or have you had a procedure lately? And you know how expensive those things are. So if you're getting 20, 30, 40,000 in social security benefits a year, the money that Medicare spends on you is probably twice that. And that is why it's important to be in the right Medicare plan. And we have a partner that can be your advocate. They're not there to sell you a specific plan, they're there to help you get into a better plan. And so call the number on the screen or fill out the form I'm going to put in the comment section below, and they will reach out to you and check whether you are in the right plan. And if you are not, they will help you get into a better plan. We've been working with these guys because they are the real deal. I have been doing this for 15 years. And this is the first Medicare advisory company I'm working with because I have vetted them and I know that they are there to be in your corner and make sure that you are getting the best out of Medicare. So check out the link in the comments, fill out the form, or call the number on the screen, and they'll be happy to help you. So thank you for hanging out with me this Wednesday evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your support.